श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। भारती करुणापात्रं भारती पदभूषणं भारती पदमारूढ़ं भारती तीर्थमाश्रये। Hello everyone. This is Nitin Sridhar from Advaita Academy, and I'm very happy to welcome you all on this auspicious day of Shankara Jayanti to our second session of the long 1 month long celebration, a global celebration of Adi Shankaracharya. Shankara, Shankaracharya, Bhagavad-pada, Bhashyakara. There are so many ways that those who know him adore him. He was a rishi, an acharya, a bhakta, a yogi, a jivan mukta, an avatara, and a number of other things to different people with different shraddha. Our Sanatana Dharma, our Hindu civilization, would not have been today what it is if it was not for him. The Stotram, Guru Parampara Stotram says, Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. Shankaracharya is in the middle because he connects the ancient with the present, the past with the present, the ancient philosophies, the ancient teachers, their value system, life system. He connects them to us today. His teachings are the essence of the teachings of the past masters. His teachings are also relevant to us today, here and now. To celebrate him, to spread his message far and wide, we have conceived of this global festival of oneness. And keeping this vision in mind, we have lined up more than 150 plus enlightened talks for the next 30 days. Our first lecture in this session, in today's session, is a Sanskrit lecture session by Sri Mani Dravida Shastrigal on the uniqueness of Adi Shankaracharya's Prashtanataya Bhashya. Sri Mani Dravida Shastrigal is a highly accomplished and a very renowned Vidwan of Vedanta and Mimamsa Shastra. He is the grandson of a very widely known Sri Rajeshwara Shastrigal of Varanasi, who was the Asthana Vidwan of the king of Kashi. His guru was Prantiyangara Sri Subramanya Shastrigal, a Shastraratnakara, director of Mahesh Research Institute, Varanasi. Mani Dravid Shastrigal has done a thorough study of many Shastras, including Vyakarana, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, and Nyaya Shastra. He has also studied under Sri R. Krishnamurti Shastrigal, Vedanta professor of Madras Sanskrit College, and he has a doctorate in Indian philosophy from Banaras Hindu University. Shastrigal was awarded with Advaita Siddhi Ratnakara by Sringeri Mutt, Vedavyasa Samman instituted by central government, and a special recognition by Kanchi Mutt for his erudite scholarship. He is presently with Madras Sanskrit College as a professor of Mimamsa and a regular participant of Vidvat Sadas. It is our honor to have him here, sir. शास्त्री जी, it's our honor. हमको बहुत खुशी है कि आप आज यहाँ आए और यहाँ बात कर रहे हैं. And now I request you to please give your lecture. आप अभी बात कर सकते हैं.
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमां अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरु परंपरा. अद्य शंकराचार्य जयंती दिवसः वर्तते. महतां पुण्यस्मरणम् अस्माकं श्रेयसे भवतु. विशिष्य भगवत्पूज्यपादानां शंकराचार्याणां स्मरणं तु अस्माभिः दिने दिने कर्तव्यमेव. परन्तु विशिष्य अस्मिन् दिने तेषां जन्मदिवसे तत् क्रियते इति अस्माकं परमं भागधेयम् इदम्. भगवत्पादानां प्रणामः हृदये प्रतिदिनं कर्तव्यः इति श्रीमद् अपय्य दीक्षितेन्द्रैः एकस्मिन् श्लोके निरूपितमस्ति। सः श्लोकः एवं वर्तते, तत्र अर्धमेव अहं वदामि, सम्पूर्णं विवरणं न करिष्यामि। तस्मिन् आनन्दसिन्धौ अतिमहति फले भावविश्रान्तिमुद्रा शास्त्रस्य उद्घाटिता यैः प्रणमत हृदि तान् नित्यमाचार्यपादान्। शास्त्रस्य अतिमहति आनन्दसिन्धौ तात्पर्यं यैः उद्घाटितं तान् आचार्यपादान् नित्यं हृदि प्रणमत। अर्थः स्पष्टः वर्तते, अस्य विवरणं नापेक्षते। अद्य अस्माकं विषयः अस्ति आचार्यप्रणीतं प्रस्थानत्रयभाष्यं, तस्य वैशिष्ट्यं च। आचार्यैः प्रस्थानत्रयस्य भाष्यं विरचितमस्ति। प्रस्थानत्रयं नाम उपनिषदः श्रुतिप्रस्थानम् इति उच्यन्ते, गीता स्मृतिप्रस्थानम् इति उच्यते, भगवद्गीता, ब्रह्मसूत्राणि इदं सूत्रप्रस्थानम् इति उच्यते। वेदान्तस्य एतत् प्रस्थानत्रयम्। अस्मिन् प्रस्थानत्रयेपि आचार्याणां भाष्यग्रन्थः वर्तते। प्रस्थानत्रयस्य कः विषयः किञ्चित् विवेचयामश्चेत्, श्रुतिप्रस्थानं वर्तते उपनिषदः। उपनिषदः आत्मतत्त्वस्य बोधनार्थं प्रवृत्ताः सन्ति। तत्त्वबोधनम् उपनिषदां प्रधानप्रतिपाद्यो विषयः। कर्मानुष्ठानं कर्मकाण्डस्य यथा, तथा तत्त्वबोधनम् उपनिषदां विषयः। गीताशास्त्रं स्मृतिप्रस्थानं। भाष्यकारः गीताशास्त्रस्य उपोद्घाते एवं तदीयं विषयं प्रतिपादयन्ति। प्रवृत्तिलक्षणः निवृत्तिलक्षणः इति धर्मद्वयम्, अथ च आत्मतत्त्वं वासुदेवाख्यम्, एतद्द्वयमेव गीताशास्त्रप्रतिपाद्यो विषयः। गीता प्रथमतः समस्तवेदार्थसारसङ्ग्रहभूता इति भाष्यकारैरुक्तं। समस्तवेदार्थमध्ये उपनिषदर्थोऽप्यस्ति, कर्मकाण्डार्थोऽपि अस्ति। प्रवृत्तिलक्षणो धर्मः, निवृत्तिलक्षणो धर्मः, एतत् सर्वमपि गीतायां सङ्गृहीतमस्ति। तथापि भगवद्गीतायां प्राधान्येन प्रतिपाद्यः विषयः भवति आत्मतत्त्वम् एव। प्रवृत्तिलक्षणो धर्मः, निवृत्तिलक्षणो धर्मः इति यद्धर्मद्वयं, तद्द्वयमपि आत्मतत्त्वज्ञानस्य उपायः साधनं भवति इति कृत्वा गीताशास्त्रे प्रतिपाद्यते। एवं विचार्यमाणे उपनिषदां प्रतिपाद्यविषयः यत् आत्मतत्त्वम् अस्ति, तदेव आत्मतत्त्वं भगवद्गीतायाम् अपि प्रतिपाद्यं वर्तते। इदानीं सूत्रप्रस्थानं पश्यामः। सूत्रप्रस्थानं किमर्थं प्रवृत्तं? सूत्रप्रस्थानं तु मीमांसाशास्त्ररूपं वर्तते, उत्तरमीमांसाशास्त्रम्। मीमांसाशास्त्रं वाक्यार्थविचाररूपं शास्त्रं भवति। उपनिषत्सु यत्र सन्देहो जायते तादृशवाक्येषु विचार्य तात्पर्यनिर्णयार्थं प्रवृत्तं सूत्रात्मकम् इदं मीमांसाशास्त्रम्। सूत्रात्मकस्य मीमांसाशास्त्रस्य पृथक् विषयः न भवति, उपनिषदां यो विषयः स एव विषयः भवति तद्वाक्यार्थविचारपराणां सूत्राणामपि। यदि एवं रीत्या वयं पश्यामः तदा सूत्रं गीता उपनिषदः इति एतेषां त्रयाणामपि प्रधानं प्रतिपाद्यं वस्तु एकं, विषयः एकः। एतेषां त्रयाणामपि आचार्यैः विरचितं भाष्यम् अस्माकम् उपलभ्यते। इदानीम् अस्माभिः इदं द्रष्टव्यमस्ति, एतेषां भाष्याणां वैशिष्ट्यं किम्? एकेन वाक्येन वक्तुं शक्यते यः एतानि भाष्याणि पठति अथवा पश्यति अनुसन्धत्ते सः अवश्यमेव अत्र प्रतिपादितानां विषयाणाम् अन्यत्र कुत्रापि उपलब्धिर्नास्ति इति जानीयात्। इदं यत् प्रस्थानत्रय भाष्यं शाङ्करं भाष्यं वर्तते, अस्य प्रतिपाद्यो विषयः न अन्यत्र कुत्रापि शास्त्रे अस्माभिर्लब्धुं शक्यते। अतएव इदं प्रस्थानत्रयम् अद्वितीयम्। अस्तु, किं तत्र तादृशं वस्तु प्रतिपाद्यं वर्तते? अद्वितीयम् आत्मतत्त्वमेव प्रतिपाद्यं वर्तते। अद्वितीयं यत् आत्मतत्त्वं तत् प्रतिपाद्यं वर्तते त्रिषु अपि प्रस्थानेषु येषु यत् तत्त्वम् अन्यस्मिन् कस्मिन्नपि शास्त्रे न लभ्यते। तर्हि इदमेव अस्य प्रस्थानत्रयस्य अद्वितीयत्वं नाम असाधारणं वैशिष्ट्यम्। अस्तु, इदानीम् अद्वितीयतत्त्वप्रतिपादनस्य प्रयोजनं किमस्ति? विचार्यमाणे अस्य प्रयोजनं किं भवति इति शास्त्रेण इव प्रतिपाद्यं। सर्वप्रथमम् अस्माभिः किं ज्ञातव्यमस्ति? इदं शास्त्रम् अद्वितीयं तत्त्वं बोधयति वा न वा? इदम् अद्वितीयं किञ्चित् तत्त्वं बोधयति। शास्त्रं सर्वदा अस्माभिः अज्ञातं तत्त्वं बोधयति। तत्र अद्वितीयं तत्त्वं तु सर्वथा अज्ञातं, तदेव बोधयति शास्त्रम् इति निरूप्यते भाष्ये सर्वत्र। यदि ईदृशम् अद्वैततत्त्वं बोधयति शास्त्रं, तदा तस्य प्रयोजनं किं प्रयोजनमस्ति? निःश्रेयसं प्रयोजनम् इति उच्यते। अहं किञ्चित् अस्मिन् विषये विचारयामि, कञ्चित् विचारम् उपस्थापयामि। भगवद्गीतायां प्रायेण अध्यायाः बहवः सन्ति, 18 अध्यायाः सन्ति। सर्वेष्वपि अध्यायेषु विषयाः संकीर्णाः लभ्यन्ते। कर्म कर्तव्यम् इत्यपि तत्र लभ्यते। आत्मतत्त्वमपि तत्र उपदिश्यते। भक्तियोगोऽपि अस्ति भगवद्गीतायां, कर्मयोगोऽपि अस्ति। सर्वं संकीर्णमिव दृश्यते। स्वयं भाष्यकारीरेव उच्यते, भगवद्गीतायाः अनेकैः पदार्थविवरणेन वाक्यार्थविवरणेन च व्याख्यानं कृतमस्ति चेदपि भगवद्गीतार्थस्य तत्त्वनिर्णये इदानीमपि संशयः एव वर्तते इति कृत्वा तादृशं संशयं निवारयितुमेव विवेकपूर्वकं ज्ञानं सम्पादयितुम् अहं भाष्यं लिखामि इति आचार्यैः स्वयमेव उक्तमस्ति। तत्र आचार्याणां भाष्यप्रणयनशैली सर्वथा पूर्वमीमांसा शास्त्रीययुक्तिसञ्चारपूर्विका वर्तते। उत्तरमीमांसाशास्त्रं ब्रह्मसूत्रभाष्यं वा भवतु, गीताभाष्यं वा भवतु, उपनिषद्भाष्यं वा भवतु, वाक्यानां तात्पर्यनिर्णये तैः या प्रणाली आश्रियते सा प्रणाली, सा युक्तिः अवश्यं पूर्वमीमांसाशास्त्रसम्मता भवति इति दृश्यते। अहं गीताशास्त्रे कर्मापि प्रतिपाद्यते, भक्तिरपि प्रतिपाद्यते, आत्मतत्त्वमपि प्रतिपाद्यते। तर्हि इदं प्रधानतः किं प्रतिपादकं शास्त्रं? कर्म प्रतिपादकं वा, भक्ति प्रतिपादकं वा, आत्मतत्त्व प्रतिपादकं वा इति कथं निर्णेयम् इति प्रश्नः भवति खलु। अत्र किञ्चित् उत्तरम् एवं चिन्तयितुं शक्यते इति सूचयामि। यत् शास्त्रं यस्य विषयस्य प्रतिपादकं भवति तत् शास्त्रं पठित्वा वयं तद्वस्तु अवगन्तुं प्रभवामः। इदानीं पदानां साधुत्वं यदि अवगन्तव्यं तर्हि पदसाधुत्वबोधकं शास्त्रं वर्तते व्याकरणशास्त्रम्। एवं च व्याकरणशास्त्रं पठित्वैव अस्माभिः साधुपदानि ज्ञातुं शक्यन्ते। व्याकरणशास्त्रपठने तत् प्रयोजनमपि अस्माभिर्लभ्यते। एवं गीताशास्त्रं यदि कर्मप्रतिपादकं शास्त्रं स्यात् तदा गीताशास्त्रं पठित्वा वयम् अस्माकं कर्तव्यं बुद्ध्वा किं कर्म कर्तव्यम् इति तदनुसारेण कर्म कर्तुं प्रभवेम, वयं समर्थाः स्याम। परन्तु केवलं गीताशास्त्रं पठित्वा अस्माभिः किं कर्म कर्तव्यम् इति केनापि अवगन्तुं शक्यते वा? न अवगन्तुं शक्यते। यतः तत्र गीताशास्त्रे एकमपि वाक्यं तादृशं नास्ति यत् अस्माकम् इदं प्रतिदिनं कर्तव्यम्, एवं कर्तव्यम् इति बोधकं भवेत्। तथा च गीता कर्मणः निर्देशो वर्तते, कर्म अवश्यं कर्तव्यमिति। परन्तु किं कर्म कर्तव्यम् इति न ज्ञायते चेत् कर्म कुरु इत्युक्ते किं कर्तुं शक्यते? तस्मात् कर्मणः निरूपणं तस्मिन् नास्ति। आत्मा कीदृशो भवति इति यदि विचार्यते तदा आत्मस्वरूपस्य तु निरूपणं, येन निरूपणेन अस्माकम् आत्मविषये भ्रान्तिः निराकृता भवति, तादृशं निरूपणं गीताशास्त्रे उपलभ्यते। वयं जीवात्मा इति शब्दप्रयोगं न कुर्मश्चेदपि आत्मानं कथं पश्यामः? जातं पश्यामः। अस्माकं जननं वर्तते, कदाचित् मरणं भवति, अवश्यं भवति। कस्मिन् काले इति न ज्ञायते, परन्तु मरणं तु अवश्यं भविष्यति। जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः। एवं पश्यामः, जननं मरणं च वर्तते। परन्तु गीताशास्त्रं वदति न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चित्। आत्मस्वरूपस्य जननं मरणं च नास्ति। तर्हि अस्माकं जनन मरण ज्ञानं यदस्ति तद् भ्रान्तिज्ञानं, भ्रमात्मकं ज्ञानं। शरीरस्य यद् जननं मरणं च तद् अस्माभिः आत्मनः जननं मरणम् इति स्वीकृतं। तर्हि अयमेव भ्रमः अस्माकम्। एतादृशभ्रमस्य निरासं करोति इदं गीतावाक्यं। तर्हि भ्रमं दूरीकरोति आत्मविषये। अयम् आत्मा विभुर्वा अणुर्वा कस्य तस्य परिमाणं कथं वर्तते, असङ्गो वा लेपयुक्तो वा, एवं यदा विचार्यते एतादृशं सर्वं निरूपणं गीताशास्त्रे उपलभ्यते। अयम् आत्मा एव ब्रह्मस्वरूपः वर्तते इति यत् उपनिषदि प्रतिपाद्यते महावाक्यैः, तादृशम् एव निरूपणं गीताशास्त्रेऽपि उपलभ्यते। ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा ब्रह्मभूतः प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति। ब्रह्मज्ञानस्य प्रयोजनम् उपनिषत्शास्त्रे उच्यते तरति शोकम् आत्मवित्। अन्यत्र उच्यते ब्रह्मवित् आप्नोति परम्। परम् अत्यन्तं श्रेष्ठं पुरुषार्थं प्राप्नोति ब्रह्मज्ञानी ब्रह्मवित्। गीताशास्त्रमपि तथा वदति। शोकनिवृत्तिः आत्मज्ञानेन भवति। शोक निवृत्त्यर्थमेव गीताशास्त्रस्य उपदेशः भगवता कृतः अर्जुनं प्रति इति ज्ञायते। यतः अर्जुनः तथा शोकसागरे निमग्नः आसीत्, अस्मात् शोकसागरात् तस्य बहिर्निर्गमनस्य कश्चित् उपायः एव नास्ति। तादृशी स्थितिः, अत्यन्तं शोकमग्नः। अस्यां स्थितौ भगवान् किं वदति? अशोच्यान् अन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे इति आरभ्य येन आत्मतत्त्वज्ञानेन शोकस्य तरणं भवति, शोकसागरात् अस्माकम् उत्तरणं भवेत्, तादृशम् आत्मतत्त्वज्ञानमेव बोधयितुम् आरब्धं भगवता अर्जुनं प्रति। अन्ते यत्र उपदेशसमाप्तिः भवति, अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः, तत्रापि शोको मास्तु इत्येव उपसंहारः क्रियते। एवञ्च गीताशास्त्रं शोकनिवृत्त्यर्थं यः उपायः, तम् उपायं बोधयितुं प्रवृत्तम् इति अस्माभिः उपक्रम उपसंहार पर्यालोचनया ज्ञातुं शक्यते। तत्र च अपेक्षितं यत् आत्मतत्त्वं, तस्य आत्मनः यादृशं स्वरूपम् उपनिषत्सु प्रतिपादितं वर्तते, तादृशमेव स्वरूपं गीताशास्त्रं पठित्वापि वयम् अवगन्तुं प्रभवामः। तथा च आत्मविषये सर्वांशेन निरूपणं गीताशास्त्रे वर्तते। कर्मविषये तु केवलं कर्मशास्त्रे यद्विहितं तत् कुरु। भगवान् स्वयमेव वदति, तस्मात् शास्त्रं प्रमाणन्ते कार्याकार्य व्यवस्थितौ ज्ञात्वा शास्त्रविधानोक्तं कर्म कर्तुम् इहार्हसि। नाम यत् कार्यं किं कर्तव्यं किं न कर्तव्यम् इति कार्याकार्य ज्ञानार्थं भवता गीताशास्त्रं न पठनीयम्। गीताशास्त्रं तु वदति त्वं तत्प्रतिपादकं शास्त्रं पठित्वा कार्याकार्य विवेकं सम्पादय, किं कर्तव्यं किं न कर्तव्यम् इति। एवञ्च तदर्थं पृथक् शास्त्रमस्ति। गीताशास्त्रं तु तत्र अनुवादेन इदमेव करोति, त्वया शास्त्रेण विहितं कर्म कर्तव्यम्, अन्यत् यत् निषिद्धमस्ति तन्न कर्तव्यम्, तत् परिपालनीयम् इति तावदेव वदति। किं कर्तव्यं किं न कर्तव्यम् इति गीताशास्त्रं पठित्वा न ज्ञातव्यम्। तथा च गीताशास्त्रं यद्यपि शास्त्रान्तरेण प्रतिपाद्यं कर्म अनुवदति, अवश्यं कर्तव्यं न त्यक्तव्यम् इति, तर्हि तत् प्रतिपादयति इति तु नास्ति, तद् अनुवादः इति उच्यते। आत्मतत्त्वं तु सम्यक् प्रतिपादयति, समग्रं विषयं तत्र स्वीकरोति प्रतिपाद्यविषयत्वेन। तस्मात् इदमपि आत्मतत्त्वप्रतिपादकं शास्त्रमेव, तत्रैव प्रधानतया तात्पर्यं वर्तते गीताशास्त्रस्य इति वयम् अवगन्तुं प्रभवामः। एवं स्थिते यदस्माभिः प्रस्थानत्रयम् इति उक्तं, तत्र उपनिषत् प्रतिपाद्यं यत् तत्त्वं तदेव आत्मतत्त्वं गीतायाम् अपि प्रतिपाद्यं भवति। तदेव आत्मतत्त्वं विचार्यते ब्रह्मसूत्रेष्वपि। तत् कीदृशम् आत्मतत्त्वं? पश्यन्तु, आत्मतत्त्वविषये बहवः दार्शनिकाः आत्मविषये विचारं कृत्वा निरूपितवन्तः सन्ति, परन्तु इदम् अद्वैतदर्शनम् एकं मुक्त्वा कुत्रापि आत्मस्वरूपम् एकं सर्वशरीरेषु इति निरूपितमस्ति वा? कुत्रापि नास्ति। अद्वैतदर्शनम् एकं मुक्त्वा अन्यत् दर्शनं किमपि स्वीक्रियते चेत् कुत्रापि आत्मैकत्वम्, आत्मा एकः इति अयमंशः न निरूपितः अस्ति। यद्यपि श्रुतिः स्पष्टं निरूपयति, एक एव आत्मा वर्तते, द्वितीयः आत्मा नास्ति। यदा इमं इदं तत्त्वं जानाति कश्चित्, तदा शोकस्य निवृत्तिः, शोकः नास्ति, मोहः नास्ति। यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैव अभूत् विजातः, तत्र को मोहः कः शोकः? एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः, एकत्वम् अनुपश्यतः। आत्मा एक एव इदं तत्त्वं यदि जानाति तदा तस्य शोकः मोहश्च नास्ति, नैव भवति। मरणानन्तरं न भवति इति न, जीवदवस्थायामेव सः मुक्तो भवति इत्ययम् अंशः प्रतिपाद्यते श्रुत्या। भगवद्गीतायामपि ईदृशमेव आत्मतत्त्वं क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत इति रीत्या इदमेव आत्मतत्त्वं प्रतिपादितं। यदा आत्मतत्त्वं ज्ञातवान् कश्चित् तदा सः स्थितप्रज्ञः इति उच्यते। द्वितीयाध्याये स्थितप्रज्ञशब्देन जीवन्मुक्तः तत्र स्वीकृतः अस्ति, तस्यैव स्वरूपनिरूपणं वर्तते। पुनश्च द्वादशाध्यायेपि अयमेव स्थितप्रज्ञः नामान्तरेण उक्तः अस्ति, भक्तः, भगवद्भक्तः इति, भक्तिमान्। चतुर्दशाध्यायेपि वर्तते गुणातीतः इति सः उच्यते, अयं जीवन्मुक्तः एव। पदानि भिन्नानि, परन्तु सः ज्ञानी तु न भिद्यते। ज्ञानी तु आत्मैव मे मतम् इति गीताशास्त्रं वदति। तर्हि अस्यां दशायाम् एक एव आत्मा इति यत् अद्वैततत्त्वम्, एतत् तत्त्वं भगवद्गीता बोधयति। सूत्राण्यपि स्वातन्त्र्येण किमपि तत्त्वं न बोधयन्ति, किन्तु मूलशास्त्रं यद्वर्तते उपनिषदात्मकं, तस्यैव मूलशास्त्रस्य तात्पर्यं निर्णयति विचारपुरस्सरम्। अतः सूत्राणामपि आत्मैकत्वम् एव प्रधान प्रतिपाद्यविषयः इति स्वीकर्तुं शक्यते। एवं विचार्यमाणे भगवत्पादैः इदं प्रस्थानत्रयं यथा नीतं स्वकीय व्याख्यानेन भाष्यरूपेण, तादृशं निरूपणं तु अन्यत्र कुत्रापि नास्ति इति वयम् अवगन्तुं प्रभवामः। इदम् अद्वैतस्य विशिष्टं स्वरूपं, विशिष्टं नाम इतरेभ्यः दर्शनेभ्यः अत्यन्तं व्यावृत्तं स्वरूपं वर्तते। इदमेकम् अस्माभिः अवगन्तव्यमस्ति, यत् अद्वैतदर्शनं यदस्ति तत् आत्मनः सच्चिदानन्दरूपत्वं स्वीकरोति। सत् नाम सत्यं, चित् नाम चैतन्यम्, आनन्दः इति तु ज्ञायते सुखात्मकं, परन्तु कीदृशं चैतन्यं, कीदृशं सत्यं तत् किञ्चित् अस्माभिः परिशीलनीयं वर्तते। व्यवहारविषये एकः आत्मा इत्ययम् अंशः अस्माकं न उपयुज्यते, नैव उपयुज्यते। व्यवहारे तु अस्माकं भेददृष्टिः व्यवहारं प्रति कारणम् अपेक्षते, परन्तु भेददृष्ट्यां सत्याम् अपि एकः आत्मा इति भावना यदि क्रियते तदा अस्माकं व्यवहारे अतीव सौजन्यं स्यात्, सौमनस्यञ्च स्यात्। त्वयि मयि चान्यत्रैको विष्णुः व्यर्थं कुप्यसि मयि असहिष्णुः इति भगवत्पादानां वचनमिदं। सर्वत्र एकः आत्मा इति ज्ञानं यदि अस्माकं स्यात् तर्हि सः अन्यः, अहम् अन्यः इति द्वितीयत्वेन यदा अन्यं पश्यति तदा खलु रागस्य, द्वेषस्य, भयस्य, मोहस्य वा अवसरः। द्वितीयाद्वै भयं भवति। द्वितीयं पश्यामः, द्वितीयत्वेन पश्यामः, तदा तस्मात् अस्माकं भीतिर्जायते, भयं जायते, कदाचित् रागः, कदाचित् द्वेषः, बहुविधः अनर्थस्य कारणं अस्माभिः तत्र द्वितीयदर्शनेन प्राप्यते। तस्मात् अस्माभिः आत्मैकत्वदर्शनं शरणीकरणीयं। भगवत्पादैः स्वकीयभाष्येषु बहुधा विचारं कृत्वा इदम् आत्मैकत्वदर्शनं शान्तदर्पैः अनुसरणीयम् इति निरूप्यते। दर्पः, गर्वः अस्ति। मयापि अतीव सूक्ष्मरीत्या विचारं कृत्वा द्वैतमेव तत्त्वम् इति व्यवस्थाप्यते इति कश्चित् प्रवर्तते चेत् तस्य आत्महानिरेव भवति। इतः कोऽन्वस्ति मूढ़ात्मा यस्तु स्वार्थे प्रमाद्यते। विवेकचूडामणौ भगवत्पादानां वचनं स्वकीयं प्रयोजनं यदस्ति तदेव नाशयति कश्चित्। स्वस्य आत्मस्वरूपं यत् आनन्दात्मकं वर्तते तद् आनन्दात्मकं स्वरूपं तिरस्कृत्य अन्यत्र प्रवर्तते चेत् तत् अतीव मौढ्यं किल। एवञ्च स्वार्थे एव यस्य प्रमादः अनवधानं तत्तु अतीव किं शोकस्य विषयः विषादस्य विषयः भवति। एवञ्च यथा अस्माकं शोकनिवृत्तिर्भवति तथा शोकनिवृत्तेः एक एव उपायः आत्मतत्त्वज्ञानम् इति एतेषु प्रस्थानेषु त्रिष्वपि निरूपितम् इति अयम् एकः विषयः अस्माभिः ज्ञातव्यः अस्ति। किञ्च भगवत्पादैः इदं तत्त्वं तथा प्रकटितमस्ति यत् तत्त्वम् इतः प्राक्तनैः वृत्तिकारादिभिः तथा स्पष्टं न प्रकटितं नापि पश्चात्तनैः प्रकटितमस्ति। यतः ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः इति यत् अंशत्रयमस्ति तत्र जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः इति विषये जगन्मिथ्या इति विषये च बहुधा विप्रतिपत्तिः दार्शनिकानां। ब्रह्म सत्यम् इति उच्यते। अद्वैत दर्शने पारमार्थिक सत्यं व्यावहारिक सत्यम् इति सत्यस्य भेदं कृत्वा अनृतमपि एकं प्रातिभासिक सत्यं यत् व्यवहारदृष्ट्या अनृतं भवति तस्यापि प्रातिभासिक सत्यम् इति नाम कृत्वा त्रिविध सत्तावादः यः स्वीकृतः सः व्यवहारस्यापि निर्वाहो भवतु इति एतदर्थं। परन्तु यः मुमुक्षुः व्यवहारात् सर्वथा निवृत्तः तस्य तु कृते परमार्थतत्त्वम् एकमेव भवति इति तदीयदृष्टिः अन्या भवति, अन्येषां व्यावहारिक विषयज्ञानां दृष्टिः अन्या भवति इति उभयोः दृष्ट्योः विषयभेदः सहजः एव। यः तत्त्वं न जानाति यश्च जानाति उभयोर्दृष्टिः एका इति कथमपि भवितुं नार्हति। तस्मात् भगवत्पादैः प्रस्थानत्रये यत् तत्त्वं प्रतिपाद्यतया विशदीकृतम् इदम् अद्वितीयम् आत्मतत्त्वमेव इति कृत्वा प्रस्थानत्रयस्य इतरेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः दर्शनेभ्यः वैशिष्ट्यम् अस्ति इत्येतावदुक्त्वा अहम् इदं व्याख्यानम् उपसंहरामि। प्रणामाः।
थैंक यू वेरी मच आचार्य। बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत अच्छा था। इट्स अ वेरी एनलाइटनिंग टॉक एंड नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट श्री डॉक्टर नागराज पटूरी जी who is director of Inter Gurukula University Center at Indic Academy, who is also trained in Sanskrit and Advaita Vedanta under his father, and also trained in modern academic disciplines. Nagaraj ji, can you summarize Acharya's Sanskrit lecture for the English audience?
Yeah, I'll try to do that. I can only humbly say that I will try to do that. Whenever Paramaguru Mani Dravida Shastrigal speaks, it is so intense and rigorous that to summarize it in a few words is very, very difficult. I think I will have to almost do everything that he has done, but I will try to do that. Gurugal were saying that his topic, the topic he has chosen is Prasthanatraya Bhashya. Before taking that up, he was mentioning that today Shankara Jayanti is a very auspicious day when we have to definitely remember and worship Shankara Bhagavad-padaha. But he is a personality who has to be remembered every day. To prove that, he was quoting Appaya Dikshitendra when Appaya Dikshitendra says that Shankara is such a jnani and such a wisdom giver and such an ananda giver that remembering him every day is very essential for every person interested in Adhyatmika sadhana. And then he goes on to take up the topic of the day, Prasthanatraya Bhashya. And before that, he defines Prasthanatraya. And while defining Prasthanatraya, he says Prasthanatraya includes Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutras. And then he says Upanishads are Shruti Prasthana, and Bhagavad Gita is Smriti Prasthana, and Brahma Sutras is the Sutra Prasthana. And then he goes on to show what is the topic taken up by each of these. And then while doing that, he says Upanishads have taken up the topic of Atma Tattva. In the first round, he was emphasizing the word Tattva. Uh, these are untranslatable Sanskrit words. Tattva is thatness. Tat is that and Tattva is thatness. So the essence, the essential meaning of anything, but that essential meaning Tattva is of Atman, that is self. That is the uh, demonstrable concept that is taken up by Upanishads is what he was saying. And he goes on to Bhagavad Gita and takes up what is the topic of Gita at all. And then he says, again, it is the same. Even Bhagavad Gita's topic of discussion is Atma Tattva Pratipadana only. That is to propose and propound the nature of self only. And then he typically, in his own style of logically establishing that point, he says, let us say Bhagavad Gita takes up not just Atma Tattva, it talks about karma, it talks about bhakti, it talks about moksha, it talks about various other things. Then how do you know that it is talking only about Atma Tattva? Then he says, Bhagavad Gita's discussion of karma. Let us take the example of Bhagavad Gita's discussion of karma. So, because it is talking about karma, shall we say that Bhagavad Gita is talking about what is doable and what is not doable? Then he says, no, that is not the way to go about things, because each Shastra has got its own target purpose. For example, what is a right word to speak? What is a wrong word to speak? Sadhutva and asadhutva of Shabdas is given by Vyakarana Shastra. If you want to know what is the right word, what is the wrong word, you have to go to grammar, you have to go to Vyakarana. In the same way, you have to go to a Shastra which tells you what is doable, what is not doable. To know that, you have to go to Karma Shastra. Bhagavad Gita is not that Shastra. There is a different Shastra for that. There is a Shastra for Karma Kanda. Then you have to go only to Karma Kanda to know what is doable, what is not doable. So once that is established, that Bhagavad Gita is not a book to tell you what is doable and what is not doable, then you would have to know that the main content of Bhagavad Gita is Atma Tattva Pratipadana only. The propounding of the nature of self is the topic taken up by Bhagavad Gita. And then he comes back to Brahma Sutras and says, what is the topic taken up by Brahma Sutras? He says Brahma Sutras is a Vakyartha Vichara Shastra. It is the interpretation science. It is the sentence meaning interpretation science. But there is already a sentence meaning interpretation science called Mimamsa, that is Purva Mimamsa. He says what Brahma Sutras does is to bring that to apply to the two Upanishads, the same methodology of sentence meaning interpretation that is already there in Purva Mimamsa, when that is brought to Upanishads to explain Atma Tattva Pratipadana that is already there in Upanishads. That is what is Brahma Sutras doing. Brahma Sutras is taking up the sentences from Upanishads, sentences that are already taken up from the Vedas in Upanishads, and then it is taking up the sentence meaning interpretation in its own way in Brahma Sutras. But again, for what purpose? Just as the Karma Shastra interprets everything for karma, Brahma Sutras also, again, in the same way, there is an Ekavakyata between Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras. All the three are doing Atma Tattva Pratipadana only. So the sentence meaning interpretation being done by Brahma Sutras is also for Atma Tattva Pratipadana only. And then he says, okay, so all these purposes of Prasthanatraya are now established. Why there is a need for Bhashya, Shankara Bhashya? Then he says, Shankara, while doing all the Bhashyas, whether it is Upanishad Bhashya, Gita Bhashya, Prasthanatraya Bhashya, shows that he has said only that which is not said in anywhere else, in no other Shastra. Whatever is not found in any other Shastra is given by his Bhashyas. And he does that pratigna, he does that pledge, and he keeps it up. And throughout, all the bhashyas that are provided by Shankaracharya provide, they add value because they are unique. All that is not said anywhere else is provided in Prasthanatraya Bhashya. And that is done through Advaita. What does Advaita do to all these three Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and Bhagavad Gita? He comes back to the content of Prasthanatraya, each of these, and then he says, if you come to Bhagavad Gita, what it is doing is, it is removing grief, it is removing shoka, and shoka removal is the topic of Bhagavad Gita he establishes by showing that the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita is done because of Arjuna's shoka. To remove that only it has started. And then Krishna goes on to say, Nashochva Navyashochastam. By that he is saying that, see, you are unnecessarily grieving about things which are not to be grieved at all. So that also establishes that grief is the topic, removal of grief is the topic. And then towards the end, also it is being said that Ma Shuchaha, you don't weep. So there also grief is being established. So through all these examples, from the beginning, middle, and end, Bhagavad Gita is the grief removal Shastra that is being established. How can that grief removal be done? In Bhagavad Gita, in Advaita, when you go to Advaita, what Advaita does, what other Shastras do not do, is the establishment of oneness of Atman, oneness of self, Ekatva. That unity, you can say, unity not in the sense of people's unity, unity in the sense of the nature of one, oneness, Ekatva. So that there is only one self, no other number of self is there. That is that Ekatva of Atman, that is the Pratipadya Tattva of Upanishads, and that can be argued only through Advaita. No other Shastra can establish the Ekatva of Atman. And that is there in Upanishads. If you go to Bhagavad Gita and read through Bhagavad Gita repeatedly in so many different ways, Bhagavad Gita goes on establishing the Ekatva, the oneness of Atman. That is why Shankara Bhagavad Pada was able to show through his Bhashya that, see what Upanishads have done, it is Bhagavad Gita is also doing, Bhagavad Gita is also establishing the oneness of self. And then in Sutra Bhashya also, he does the same. He, through Ekavakyata interpretation, he shows that even in Brahma Sutras, it is the oneness, Ekatva of Atman that is being established. Once this is established, then the question comes, why we are talking about what is being provided by Upanishads is different. And then he says, what is being provided by Upanishads is different because it is talking about Sat, Chit, Ananda. And what is Sat? Sat is truth, Chit is consciousness, and Ananda, very well we know that it is in the form of pleasure, but absolute pleasure which is different from the general worldly pleasure, that is Ananda. He says that this kind of analysis, why is it required? Already we are talking about Atma Tattva Pratipadana. He says this is required for Vyavahara. Sachidananda realization helps you for practice of life. When you want to live, you want to know that you are living for pleasure. And that pleasure comes from realizing the truthness, and the consciousness, that helps you to understand the Satchidananda. The Satchidananda realization helps you for life, for Vyavahara. Atma Tattva Jnana does not help you in that. And he comes again back to Bhagavad Gita and says, if you go to Bhagavad Gita, what you see is that it talks about a person who gets this ananda, gets this realization, how he lives. And Bhagavad Gita, in so many different ways, it says, in one chapter it says he is called Jnani. In another chapter, it calls it Sthita Prajna. In another chapter, it calls it Jivan Mukta. So in so many different ways, it shows that there is a possibility of a person living as either Sthita Prajna or Jnani or Bhakta. In so many different ways, it establishes that it is possible to live that way. And through Satchidananda realization, it is possible to live. And all these things through the Bhashyas, Shankara is establishing that this is exactly what is being done in all the three prasthanas, all the Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and Bhagavad Gita. He brings this logic into understanding of the readers, and he does it in a very unique way. The uniqueness lies in the idea of Advaita itself, and the Shankara's way of interpreting that also has its unique way. That is how he is bringing unity among all the three, the Prasthanatraya, the Upanishads, and the Brahma Sutras, and Bhagavad Gita. So using his logic of bringing his own questions and then answering those questions, he very well established the purpose of Prasthanatraya Bhashya, the unique value that Shankara adds through his Bhashya for understanding the three Prasthanas, and uniqueness of Advaita, and the unique value that Advaita adds to our life and spiritual practice. Since Gurugal is present here, I would like to request him to point out if I have missed anything in my translation. And I beg your pardon and pardon from Gurugal if I have committed any mistakes in translation. All the mistakes are mine, they do not belong to Gurugal.
It was a wonderful translation, Nagaraj ji. आचार्य, एक प्रश्न है हमको आया है, क्या मैं उसको बताऊं?
हाँ, पूछिए।
हाँ, एक प्रश्न आया है कि उपनिषद में महावाक्य है और भगवत गीता में भी क्षेत्रज्ञम चापि माम विधि, इस श्लोक में वही महावाक्य देखने को मिलता है। तो क्या ब्रह्म सूत्र में भी इस महावाक्य इम्प्लिसिटली एटलीस्ट प्रेजेंट है क्या?
उपनिषदि भगवद्गीतायाञ्च जीवब्रह्म अभेदबोधनम् अस्ति, एवञ्च महावाक्य समानार्थकं वाक्यं वर्तते। ब्रह्मसूत्रेपि तथा अस्ति वा इति प्रश्नः अस्ति। ब्रह्मसूत्रे महावाक्यं स्वीकृत्य किञ्चित् अधिकरणं, विचाररूपम् अधिकरणं न कृतं, परन्तु महावाक्यस्य यः तात्पर्यविषयः सः विषयस्तु ब्रह्मसूत्रेपि सूचितः अस्ति। यथा महावाक्यजन्यः यः बोधः सः शास्त्रदृष्ट्या तूपदेशो वामदेववत् इति सूत्रे शास्त्रदृष्टिशब्देन उक्तमस्ति। उसका थोड़ा विवेचन चाहिए, क्या अपेक्षा है? ब्रह्मसूत्र में एक दूसरे विचार में, मैंने प्रतर्दनाधिकरण एक है, उसमें इंद्र प्रतर्दन के प्रति कहता है, प्रतर्दन यह पहले पूछता है कि मनुष्य के लिए जो अत्यंत हित है उसी को तुम हमको बताओ। इंद्र कहता है माम उपास्व, मुझे जानो, मेरी उपासना करो। अब माम का अर्थ क्या है? इंद्र, तो इंद्र को जानने से क्या सब लोगों का हित होगा, ऐसा इंद्र कहता है क्या? नहीं। इस ऐसा यदि है, ब्रह्म को जानने से, परमात्मा को जानने से ही हित होगा सबका, ये तो सर्व वेदांत वेद्य है। तो इंद्र कैसे माम जानी ही ऐसा कहता है? तो ये जो वाक्य हुआ माम उपास्व, इस वाक्य का विचार करते हुए सूत्रकार कहते हैं यह इंद्र की शास्त्र दृष्टि से कहा गया वचन है। तो शास्त्र दृष्टि क्या है ये देखिए। शास्त्र से उसको जो ज्ञान हुआ है महावाक्य से, वह हुआ अहम ब्रह्मास्मि। अभी इस दृष्टि में तो वह अपने को ब्रह्म के रूप में ही देख रहा है। तब वह माम उपास्व जब कहता है, तब माम का अर्थ क्या हो जाएगा? ब्रह्म ही हो जाएगा। ब्रह्म उपास्व ही उसका अर्थ होगा। तो जब अहम ब्रह्मास्मि इस दृष्टि को शास्त्र दृष्टि कह करके सूत्रकार बताते हैं उस सूत्र में, तो इसी से मालूम हो जाता है उनको भी यही तत्व विवक्षित है, उपनिषद प्रतिपाद्य तत्व। उपनिषद शास्त्र द्वारा प्रतिपाद्य दृष्टि यही जीव ब्रह्म अभेद दृष्टि है, आत्मिकत्व दृष्टि है। यह उस सूत्र से स्पष्ट होता है। इसी तरह और भी बहुत से सूत्र हैं।
ठीक है आचार्य।
From Sudeepta Munshi ji, there is a question.
एक और प्रश्न ये है कि एक उदाहरण दे सकते हैं क्या कि कैसे प्रश्नांतर भाष्य मीमांसा का जो टेक्निक है इंटरप्रिटेशन का, वो कैसे यूज कर रहे हैं बोल के?
ये तो बहुत जगह मिल जाएगा आपको, एक दो जगह नहीं। अब प्रारंभ से लेकर के ब्रह्मसूत्र भाष्य में आएंगे और मीमांसा शास्त्र को देखेंगे तो दोनों में क्या कितना साम्य है यह आप समझ आएंगे। तो सामान्य उदाहरण के लिए हम क्या कहेंगे, एक उपक्रम न्याय है पूर्व मीमांसा शास्त्र में। आरंभ में जो प्रतिज्ञा वाक्य में आता है उसके अनुसार उपसंहार को होना चाहिए, उसका नियम है। तो भाष्यकार बहुत जगह उपक्रम तंत्र उपसंहार ऐसा लिखते हैं। आरंभ में ऐसा है, इसीलिए उपसंहार में भी वही लेना चाहिए, ऐसा उपक्रम न्याय का वहां उपयोग करते हैं भाष्यकार। तो आप देख सकते हैं यह पूर्व मीमांसा न्याय ही है। और अथातः ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा में अथ शब्द का अर्थ और अत शब्द का अर्थ, जिज्ञासा शब्द का अर्थ करते समय जो रीति अथा तो धर्म जिज्ञासा सूत्र में स्वरस्वामी ने भाष्य में अपनाई है, उसी रीति को यहाँ भगवान भाष्यकार अपना रहे हैं। अथ शब्द आनंतर्यार्थक है, अत शब्द हेतुत्वार्थक है। ये सब आप देखेंगे तो हम ज्यादा विवरण करने के लिए अभी समय नहीं है, लेकिन आप देखेंगे तो पता चल जाएगा कैसा दोनों में साम्य है। तो पूर्व मीमांसा शास्त्र की जो रीति है उस रीति से थोड़ा भी इधर उधर न हट करके भाष्यकार ने उपनिषद मीमांसा शास्त्र का प्रणयन किया है, भाष्य किया है, हम ये देख सकते हैं।
बहुत धन्यवाद आचार्य। इस बहुत ही अच्छा आपने बोला प्रश्नांतर भाष्य के बारे में, और सारा जो भी प्रश्न था उसका भी आपने उत्तर दिया। तो इसके लिए मैं पूरा अद्वैत एकेडमी से आपको बहुत धन्यवाद बोलता हूँ। एंड आई ऑल्सो थैंक डॉक्टर नागराज पटोरी जी for the beautiful translation and for agreeing to be here for all the Sanskrit sessions to translate for the benefit of people who do not know Sanskrit. So with this, we will move on to the next session. The next session is a video talk by Shri Swami Tadatmananda Saraswati ji, who is currently the Acharya at Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, Anekatti. Swami ji was, to give a brief introduction of Swami ji, Swamiji was born in 1962 in Gujarat, and his spiritual pursuit led him to Vedanta. After finishing engineering, he joined a 3-year course at Baroda under Swami Brahmatmanandaji, a student of Puja Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He got his Brahmacharya Diksha in 1989 and later continued his studies with Swami Visharadanandaji at Swami Dayanand Ashram in Rishikesh. He was initiated to sannyasa in 1997 by Puja Swamiji and given the name in 1994 and 2014, where he conducted many classes on the Prasthanatrayas, Puranas, Sanskrit, and other Vedantic texts. His love for studying the Shastra and understanding it in depth is a quality that all his students cherish and value. In 2013, Puja Swamiji suggested him to conduct the next course at Coimbatore, and accordingly, from May 2014 onwards, he took a 3-year residential course of Vedanta at Asha Vidya Gurukulam, Anekatti. Currently, he is conducting 2 years residential course on Vedanta, which will conclude in 2021. Swamiji is a very versatile teacher who teaches to a wide range of audience from young and old. And his teaching style is simple, clear, with a lot of examples. So, with this very brief introduction to Swami Sadatmananda Saraswati ji, I would request my colleague Koti to now play the video message that he has sent for this event.
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. My namaskaram to all of you. At the outset, I congratulate the organizers of Adi Shankara Global Summit on the occasion of the birthday of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji. Adi Shankara is referred to as Bhagavan Bhashyakara or Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji or Bhagavad Pada or Srimad Bhagavad Pada by such respectable titles. He is called Bhagavan Bhashyakara because he is Bhagavan, glorious like the Lord, and Bhashyakara because he has composed Bhashyam, the commentary on the three important texts in the pursuit of self-knowledge called Prasthanatrayam, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad. He is also called Shankaracharya ji or Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, because he was Acharya and his name was Shankara. Sham Kalyanam Karoti iti Shankaraha. One who does good to everyone is Shankaraha. And Shankaracharya ji, Bhagavad Padaha, is a bright link in the lineage of the parampara of Guru and Shishya, the teacher and students. And this teacher-student tradition is initiated by the Lord, Sada Shiva Samarambham, and it ends up with my teacher. And in between there are so many teachers forming the link in this tradition. And Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji was one of the brightest links because he taught the Prasthanatraya to his disciples. Not only that, he wrote the commentaries on all these three texts. He wrote so many Prakarana Grantha, the introductory text, so many stotras, invoking devotee in us. And through all the works, through all his commentaries and Prakarana Grantha, he showed the Tatparyam, the essential teaching, the purport of the entire Vedic literature. And the Tatparyam of the entire body of Vedas, especially Vedanta, the end portion of Vedas, is the vision of Advaita. Advaita is the Tatparyam, the non-dual reality, is the Tatparyam of all the Upanishads. All the Vedanta Vakyas are meant to reveal the non-dual reality. This fact he showed through his commentaries and other works. So Advaita is not the philosophy formed by Shankaracharya ji. The vision of Advaita is the Tatparyam, the commitment of all Vedanta Vakyas, that was revealed by Shankaracharya ji, reaffirmed by Shankaracharya ji. So Shankaracharya ji is not the founder of Advaita philosophy. Shankaracharya ji is the revealer of the fact that the vision of Advaita is the Tatparyam of all Vedanta Vakyas. And Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, not only he wrote the Prasthanatraya Bhashyam and Stotras and Prakarana Granthas, he also re-established our Vedic Dharma, which is now popularly known as Hindu Dharma. He travelled throughout the country. He reconsecrated some temples, revived some of them, and also he taught the kings of different states. He corrected the thinking of so many scholars, and thus our Vedic Dharma was re-established by Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji. And therefore we are very grateful to Bhagavan Shankaracharya. And as an expression of our gratitude, we are celebrating his birthday every year. Because gratitude is an important attitude. Gratitude is a sign of maturity. Gratitude is very important for feeling blessed and also important for having good self-esteem. And therefore, as a mark of our gratitude, as an expression of our gratitude, we celebrate the birthday of Bhagavan Shankaracharya every day, every year. And Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, as I said, has written so many texts. One of them is Viveka Chudamani. And in Viveka Chudamani, 7 questions are asked by a disciple. Ko nama bandha kathamesha agataha katham pratisthasya katham vimokshaha kosavanatma paramah ka atma tayor vivekah kathame taduchyatam. What is bondage? How has it come? How is it sustained? How one can get freedom from that bondage? What is that anatma? What is the atma? And how to distinguish them? These are the 7 questions asked by the disciple, and elaborate answers are given to each one of them. And one question, how to get moksha from bondage, that is very beautifully answered in the shloka number 150, where it is said, Shruti pramaणाika matesva dharma nishthatayaivatma vishuddhirasya vishuddha buddhehe paramatma vedanam tenaiva samsara samula nashaha. So here, the entire scheme of sadhana, gamut of sadhana is presented. The pursuit of moksha starts with Shraddha in Vedas. Shruti pramaणाika matehe. A person who has got ekamati, conviction, in Shruti being, Veda being pramana. So Shruti pramaणाika matehe reveals the sadhana or the value of Shraddha, the attitude of Shraddha. And Shraddha in Vedas, in initial stage, means accepting Vedas as reliable source of knowing the means for inner growth, the means for our spiritual pursuit. And when I have Shraddha and I am exposed to the teaching of Vedas, the next step which will follow is Swadharma Nishtha. Nishtha means commitment to Swadharma, one's own duty. Dharma has got a simple meaning, duty. But in wider sense, Dharma includes 3 things. Duty, what is to be done in a given situation. Values, the standards to be followed while transacting with the world, that is values. And the third is attitude, proper attitude towards karma, action, the result of action, and also attitude towards everything in this world. So duties, values and attitude form the religious life. And that is said here, Swadharma Nishtha, otherwise called life of Karma Yoga. So Shraddha leads to life of Karma Yoga. The third one is, which is the outcome of life of Karma Yoga, is Taya Eva. By commitment to the religious life, Atma Vishuddhihi Asya, there will be purification of the mind for this person. So Atma Vishuddhi means purity of the mind. And how this purity of the mind will be expressed? It will be expressed in the form of interest in fundamental questions. Who am I? Wherefrom I have come? What is the true nature of this world? Is there a creator of this world? Who is he or she? So all these spiritual questions will come to the mind, and a person will have interest in getting the answers. Jignasa is an indicator of purity of the mind. And the second indicator of the purity of the mind is vairagyam, dispassion, objectivity with reference to everything in the world. Money, relationship, power, everything. That objectivity, vairagyam, is an indicator of purity of the mind. And when this purity of the mind is there, then a person will go to the source of knowledge to get the answers to his questions. And the source of knowledge for getting such fundamental questions, for getting the answers to these fundamental questions, is Vedanta. Of course, received from the teacher, and therefore this person will go to the Shastra, the teachers, and going to the scriptures and the teachers and listening to them is called Shravanam. So a person will do the sadhana of Shravanam, followed by Mananam, deliberation upon the teaching, and contemplation, Nididhyasanam. And by that Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasanam, what will happen? Vishuddha Buddhehe Paramatma Vedanam. For a person with pure mind, through Gnana Yoga, consisting of Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasanam, Paramatma Vedanam, there will be knowledge of Paramatma being oneself. I am Paramatma, limitless self. This is called Paramatma Vedanam. That will be possible for a person with pure mind and with the help of Jnana Yoga. Tena eva, by the knowledge of oneself being limitless, by that samsara samula nashaha, there is destruction, nashaha, of samsara, of this bondage, the sense of limitation. And this nasha is not temporary, samula nashaha, along with its root. So by the knowledge of limitless self, there will be destruction, removal of samsara along with its root. The root of samsara is ignorance, and that ignorance and ignorance-born samsara will be removed by this Paramatma Vedanam, knowledge of limitless self. Thus, Shraddha, Swadharmanistha, Atma Shuddhi, Jnana Yoga, Paramatma Vedanam, Mokshaha. These are the stages talked about in the pursuit of moksha. And they are beautifully, briefly but comprehensively presented in this shloka. So this shloka shows the clarity and brevity of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji. And he has written so many such shlokas where we can appreciate his prasanna gambhiryam, his profundity, at the same time lucidity. And we are grateful to that Shankaracharya ji, because of whom we are able to study the Upanishads comfortably, and we are able to attain the vision of Vedanta. What is the vision of Vedanta? all that is there is Brahman. That Brahman you are. That is the vision. And that vision is the Tatparyam of Upanishad that is very beautifully shown by Shankaracharya ji. And therefore we are very grateful to him and we express our gratitude to Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji on his birthday. And we pray to Shankaracharya ji that may we have Shraddha in Vedic way of life, may we have a commitment to inner growth which leads to the discovery of myself being limitless. So with this prayer and with the expression of gratitude, I conclude. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
With this video session, we come to a conclusion of today's session, and I am sure every one of you will take home something from these two sessions, some learning, some essence, and that would benefit you. And tomorrow also we have lined up very interesting and very enlightening talks. In the morning, we have talks by Swamini Swatma Vidyananda ji and a German talk by Dhyana Eva ji in the morning. And tomorrow evening, at the same time as today, we have a talk by Sri Arvinda Rao ji and another video message by also is there. So I hope you would join us tomorrow as well, and I hope you enjoy our session. Thank you all.